What do you call it when you multiply a number by itself? For example, 5 times 5 equals 25. 9 times 9 equals 81. We call these kinds of numbers square numbers. But why? Well, it's mostly because to find the area of a square, you find the product of two of the same number. For example, the area of this square is 16 because the sides are each 4 units long, and 4 times 4 equals 16. Well, guess what? Just as you can square numbers, you can also do the opposite. Going backwards, finding the number you would have to multiply by itself to find the given number is called finding the square root of the number. We use the radical symbol to show that we want to find the square root. The square root of 81, for example, is 9, because 9 times 9 equals 81. The square root of 9/16 can be broken down into two distinct parts. The square root of 9 over the square root of 16. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 16 is 4, so our answer is 3/4. When the square root of a number is a whole number, then that number is called a perfect square. For example, 81 and 64 are perfect squares because their square roots are 9 and 8, respectively. Here are the first 20 perfect squares and their square roots. Please stop the video and write them down and start memorizing them now. To estimate the square root of a number, we need to figure out what two perfect squares it falls between. For example, the square root of 19 is not a perfect square. It is in between the square root of 16 and the square root of 25. Having said as much, we find the square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of 25 is 5. At this point, all we really know is that the square root of 19 is somewhere in between. If it were exactly halfway in the middle, we would say the square root was about 4.5. However, since 19 is closer to 16, we assume the square root is less than 4.5. Since we are only estimating, it doesn't matter how accurate we are. Therefore, we will say that the square root of 19 is approximately 4.3.